it home safely. Jungle Driving School is located conveniently on the west side of El Paso at the shops at Solana on Sunland Park Drive. 915-900-4943. Jungle Driving School now offering a 10% discount for KELP listeners. See you in the jungle.
You are listening to KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, most excellent neighbors of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are yet again broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and today we have, who is that? I'm looking through the glass. Yes, it's Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board. Mac Daddy, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Andy. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice. Glad to hear.
But I must confess, my vocabulary is painfully poverty-stricken.
Yeah.
I'm unable to describe the wonder and joy that I experience each and every weekday afternoon as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, so today we have kind of a little bit of a heavy topic, but I think it's also interesting and important for us to be thinking about because when you come to El Paso, what I've learned is military is central to this community.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we have Fort Bliss, of course, but I don't know of anywhere else in the country where there are so many veterans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So maybe it has to do with that. We're a military city.
Right. Yeah, we are a military city, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just my personal experience, but I think there's a lot of veterans just because a lot of people come to the base, they come to Fort Bliss, and then they fall in love with, I don't know, the Chico's Tacos. Or
Hey, there you go.
They fall in love with the mountains. The dust storms, but they stick around.
They do.
It's interesting because so many people here in town, because they're veterans, they have stories, and a lot of times, we're standing in line at a store with some of these fine folks who have given so much to our country, and we don't know their stories.
Yeah, that is very true.
We don't know what they're going through.
Right.
So we're going to be hearing a little bit about that today, and we have a very special guest with us.
All right.
Do you know why he's special?
Definitely, because he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Yes, he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God. Also, he might be, I'm not sure. We've done over 300 episodes, so I don't know if he's the first, but he's the first that I can think of.
Okay.
Our first guest who has a Purple Heart.
Oh, okay.
Which is
I
pretty.
Think so. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing. So we'll be hearing about his journey, but he's with an organization called the Warrior's Journey. Okay. And it's a resiliency centers. They're dedicated to supporting military personnel, veterans, and their families in addressing the often overlooked invisible wounds of combat, such as moral injury, PTSD, and feelings of isolation.
Wow.
So it's a pretty cool thing that they're doing. We're going to be hearing about his journey and also the Warrior's Journey. Okay. So he's not a true son of the borderland.
Okay.
He hails from Corpus Christi.
Corpus. Yeah. All right.
The other side of Texas.
Yeah, literally.
But he told me his family's here, so he's not going anywhere.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we have a lot to unpack. So without further ado, let's give a very warm borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Robert Garza. Robert, welcome to 915 Talk.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack as we talk about all this, but of course you have your personal journey before we talk about veterans as a whole. I know you spent some time in Afghanistan. You mentioned that before we went on air. What is your warrior's journey?
So my warrior's journey was I spent 21 years in the military, United States Army.
Okay.
Finished my career here at Fort Bliss.
Okay.
Retired in 2015.
Right.
However, that is when the dark part of my journey began. I, in 2014, coming back from Afghanistan in early 2013, had really woke up things that I had never dealt with or encountered, really faced, right?
Okay.
From the beginning, from 2004 and beyond, when those real traumatic incidents really happened to me from Iraq. So came back, got out, and when you get out of the military, it's just a sudden stop.
Right.
And that sudden stop, you think you're ready for it, but you're really not.
Right.
Right. And so for 20 years, I was taking care of soldiers and their families and doing missions all over the world and serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia, all these places. And then you suddenly have no purpose. You feel like you have no purpose.
Wow.
Right. So for me, the loss of that purpose, feeling insignificant, feeling like here I was at this level, now I'm nobody.
Right.
Is how I felt. And then dealing with the trauma that I never dealt with, right, that I never spoke about. So those were very dark times. And when I say dark times, I'm talking about from 2015 when I retired up to about, nobody would have seen me till about 2022. Okay. I just recently got into the veteran community about 4 years ago. Right?
Okay.
And so it was it was a journey that I would say was very, very tough and dealt with a lot of suicidal ideations, right?
Wow.
Not wanting to be here, not sure what I was supposed to do next. And, one of those days that I had was I was home alone, and I knew that if I would take this knife that was sitting next to me and cut myself in a certain place, I knew that no one would find me. I'd just go. And I'm in this room that I have downstairs in my home, and I'm talking to the Lord, and I'm pleading to the Lord, and I'm saying, do you want me alive? Do you want me dead? I don't know what you want from me. Give me a sign. Tell me something. Give me a journey. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. And I actually fell asleep on the floor next to that knife. And about 2 weeks later, I am going down Purple Heart Memorial Highway, Loop 375. Right, my son lives on the east side. I live in northeast, and I had driven down this road 100 times, buddy. I mean, I've seen this sign all the time, but this day, I really just took a look at it, and the Purple Heart was sun faded, so white. And white is this, right?
Right.
And it got me really upset because I have lost brothers, and I've carried a lot of wounded off the battlefield, right? So to sit here and call this a memorial highway with a sign looking like that was unacceptable to me. So I really made it my mission to get this sign changed and started calling city, county, state officials and everyone, what's the common thing? Sorry, no budget, no money, right? Nothing we can do for you.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've been trying for years. Sorry,
Wow.
So fast forward to October 2022, Halloween Day. Mr. Garza, the sign's going up. So I worked very hard, worked with the state Department of Transportation. We designed a new sign. The state paid for it. They put up a new one. When the expansion project on the loop is complete, they'll put up another one on the opposite side. But in that time, I was so blessed to get connected with the Purple Heart chapter here locally, to start becoming just very, very connected with the veterans community. I became president of this, commander of that. I sat on the El Paso Veterans Advisory Committee for the city of El Paso, appointed by the city council member for District 4 at the time, and just became very involved. And I realized one day that for all those years of taking care, my mission was taking care of soldiers and their families. And it clicked one day that my new purpose was taking care of my brothers and sisters, my veteran brothers and sisters, advocating for them, bringing programs here to El Paso that never existed, connecting organizations, collaborating with different people and making things happen that didn't happen before here in El Paso and making huge changes.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, if you caught something in that story, I was pleading to the Lord and asking him for a sign. He gave me a literal Purple Heart sign that put me on this path to sitting in front of you today. If it were not for that sign, I don't know where I'd be. That was what got me in the veterans community and got me to this position today.
Right, and you're sharing some pretty heavy stuff, and I thank you for that, because I think it's important, because you're not the only one in our community who has wrestled with these things, but you're talking about 7 years of what I understood, 7 years of darkness.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that, you said you were crying out to God. Did you have a relationship with the Lord?
I did. We have been connected to the church for a long time. My family, we attend church on Sundays. I communicate with God all the time. I spoke to him before I came in here.
Right.
But I was disconnected for a while.
Yeah.
And because of when you face different things in Iraq or Afghanistan, you really start to question everything.
Right.
Not sometimes because of the things you had to do, and maybe for me it was the things I couldn't do.
Right.
And not in a negative way. It was, there was times where I wanted to help someone, but I couldn't help that person because they were a foreign national and we weren't allowed to touch them. Right.
Right.
So that for me, it crushed me. Right. And I did have a relationship with God, and I still do. But was it broken for a little bit? Yes, it was. And not because I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why some of these things happen, right? We question those, like, why would you allow this? So.
Yeah, I think as we kind of, as this conversation is on the edge of psychology, I want to be careful to say that nothing in this broadcast is in any way to be construed as medical advice. We're just two guys talking, informational purposes only. But I also want to just mention, I think for a lot of people in the church, what they'll say is, how is it you could be having such a dark time if you had Jesus? And so I think it's super important that people hear that you were trying, you were doing your best, but here you are still in the darkest of times. You're struggling with suicidal ideation and simultaneously praying. That's what was happening.
Yeah, and people ask me that. I've been asked that before. How could this happen? Right. And my answer to them was, many stories in the Bible, people have been challenged. People have been put to the test. And I believe that was my test. I believe that he was putting me through that test. So I have this testimony today to share with you, to share with other veterans who need to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's, I'm just going to say this side that just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're going to struggle with dark times. And so I appreciate you saying that. One of the words on the warriorsjourney.org website, the Warriors Journey Resilience Centers, is this word isolation. It sounds like that's where you're at, was 7 years of isolation.
Yeah, I was there. And that is actually the number one invisible wound that our veterans face. It's because, we are so used to being part of a team.
Yeah.
And when that team is no longer there, you don't know how to go find one. You really don't, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably saying, well, you had your church, you had your family, right? You had your community.
Yeah, well, everyone has their fix-it line.
Yeah.
Let me fix this for you.
Exactly.
Right?
But it doesn't work like that for a veteran, right? We think that, first of all, we think we're the only ones going through what we're going through at the time. And we think we can fix it by ourselves.
Right.
And we just can't.
Well, I would think that part of this is, and I never served in the military, but I have had life experiences where I felt I can't even explain them to someone else. It's so foreign. It's so different than life here in El Paso. Is that part of it, where you've had these experiences, and even if you tell someone about it, they're like, that's nice. They don't really understand.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it, right? And plus, for many of us, we feel like we're going to burden you with our story.
Oh.
You can ask many veterans, and they're like, they don't want to hear my story.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, no, we do want to hear your story.
Right.
We need to hear your story.
Sure.
You need to hear your story.
Right.
You know? So that's something that we encourage a lot, and specifically there at the Warrior's Journey. That's why connection is our huge piece.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say it's been amusing for me. You know, before we went on air, I shared that I lived in Russia for 23 years, and sometimes I'll tell people that, and they'll say, "How was it?" It's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sure you've been asked also some really bad questions about your military service. What are some good questions to ask someone who's a veteran?
Well, I mean, if you want to ask someone about their service or about where they served, that's a great question. I'm gonna be honest with you, because we don't ever get like, so what did it look like, or did you see any historical stuff, or it's more like, you know, the obvious questions, and I'm not trying to be dark, but it's like, did you kill anyone or stuff like that, right? And I'm like, come on, man, you know. But you know, it's.
That's interesting. You're talking about historical sites. I would have never thought of that. I mean, I assume you saw some in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I've seen many. Yeah.
All right. So what would some examples of that be?
You know, just I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly like what they were, but you just know that they're old. Right?
Okay. Yeah. So
and
architecture.
Some of them, exactly. Yeah. Some architecture or some monuments and stuff, and you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. You know.
Yeah.
And I remember asking about certain things, but in the moment, you're kind of just like, yeah, cool. It looks nice, you know.
Right, because you're on your mission.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so you really can't enjoy the beauty of it. Right. So I do think back of times where, you know, like I was in Bosnia in '96, and I had the opportunities to like enter a castle. Right.
Oh wow.
And you know, those are. If people ask me, hey, you ever been in a castle? I can say, yeah, in Bosnia in '96. You know? But they won't ever ask about stuff like that. So,
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just some of those questions about the experience that kind of, I guess, gets you talking a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for us as veterans, we know how to talk to another veteran. Right. And I think the important thing is what I tell people, and I tell veterans, it's not about getting them to talk about those stories. It's about just getting them to talk.
Right.
Talk about sports. Talk about baseball. Talk about whatever football game you saw last week. Just get them to talk, because once you get them to talk and they feel comfortable, guess what's coming next?
Right.
They're going to start opening up to you.
Sure.
Right? They're going to start feeling a comfort level with you that says, you know what, this person is genuinely just wants to talk to me.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, and I think this is important to underline, if you have someone in your church who's a veteran, don't set up a 60 minutes interview about their military service, but just get them talking.
Yeah. That's it.
Just be open.
Yeah. Because we feel it.
Right.
We understand. We know where you're trying to take that conversation, right?
Sure.
And you want to take it to the dark spots,
right. Yeah.
And we don't want it to go there, right? We just want to tell you about, hey, you know, last week I ate at wherever
Chico's Tacos,
and it was great, you know.
Gotcha.
So I think once people can understand that we just need to talk to our veterans.
Yeah,
it changes the complexity of it.
Right. No, this conversation is super useful. If you're just joining us with Robert Garza, he's with the Warrior's Journey Resiliency Center here in El Paso. The website is thewarriorsjourney.org. We're going to continue this conversation, but first we do need to take a break. And this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice media. We want to be the voice in the desert, preparing the way of the Lord. It is our privilege to serve our community through local radio programming, 915 Talk, 915 Pray, 915 Testify, and we're looking forward to continuing to add on to that. We're working on our Spanish language radio station that will be very similar to the programming on this station. Thank you to everyone who has joined us on this journey of serving our community through radio ministry. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Thank you for listening to KELP Radio. I am Pastor Drew Cook from Coronado Baptist Church in West El Paso. Join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. for 2021 Radio. In John chapter 20, verse 21, Jesus says, "As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." Our prayer is that as you hear God's word, you would be strengthened, anchored, equipped, and sent to fulfill the ministry that God has given you to do.
Tune in to KELP Radio Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. for 2021 Radio from Coronado Baptist Church.
As a business owner or CEO, you carry a lot, big decisions, heavy responsibilities, and often no one to process it with. That's why C12 exists. C12 is a confidential peer advisory group for Christian business leaders who want to build great businesses for a greater purpose. It's not networking, and it's not a class. It's a room of leaders committed to excellence, accountability, and purpose. If that sounds like what you've been missing, learn more at c12borderplex.com.
915.
Testify.
I was a crack addict. I was out of control. I did not know the Lord. But there came a point in time where I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. And I remember asking God, please help me. But nothing would happen. The day my life changed was the day I saw what I believe was the devil himself. I was freebasing all night, watching pornographic videos. I closed my eyes, preparing to die as I felt I was going to OD. I figured that the end of my life was coming to an end, and the only thing I said was God. My cousin read a scripture that said, if the Son shall set you free, you will be free indeed. When he said that, I burst into tears. I knew my life had changed. The Holy Spirit came into my life. He forgave me of my sins, and I asked Jesus to be Lord and Savior of my life. My name's Art Moreno Jr. I'm from El Paso. God changed my life. I know he can change many others as well.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
and by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Freckett. Today we're with Robert Garza. He's with the Warriors Journey Resilience Center here in El Paso. They're dedicated to supporting military personnel, veterans, and their families, and addressing the often overlooked invisible wounds of combat, such as moral injury, PTSD, and feelings of isolation. In the first part of the program, Robert, you were sharing about your journey of 7 years after 21 years of military. So you had 21 years of military service. You were deployed to Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq. And then after your military service, it was lots of isolation and wondering what now. How did you break out of that?
Well, once I got into the veteran community and really started working with all these different veterans organizations, I told you that I found my purpose again, right?
Yeah.
And, this has truly been, it's changed everything for me, because not only do I have my purpose, but I realized that for my brothers that are no longer here with us, that lost their lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice, they can't coach baseball. They can't be here interviewing with you today. They can't advocate for our brothers and sisters. So every day I really try to live, to be the best version of myself and live to the fullest because they can't.
Right.
And that's what I think for me gets me going every single day. And when I think I have a bad day, I just think about one of my brothers and I say, nope, you know what? We'll start again tomorrow. We'll pray tonight. We'll pray tomorrow morning, and we'll get the day going, and and it'll be better.
Right. Okay. So it helps you to find your purpose. And you're talking about these veterans organizations. Before the break, we were talking about, well, how do you talk to a veteran? And your point was, just talk about baseball. You don't have to make it heavy. You don't have to make it this big thing. Build a relationship. But I guess it makes sense to say veterans understand each other way better than veterans and non-veterans. Mm-hmm. And so when you're a part of these organizations, that's what helped you break out of isolation?
Yes, of course. I mean, and then when I started really becoming volunteering, right, in all these different organizations I was part of, I realized that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And then I gradually started stepping up, right? Like started becoming commander of the Purple Heart chapter, president of the United American Veterans Organization, getting nominated for the El Paso Veterans Affairs Committee, and all these positions that started coming, right? Yeah. And I started just little by little building momentum and really figuring out that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Wow.
And broke me out of my shell, right? Just broke me out, and I felt comfortable again. I felt like happy, right? And the other side of that was I was still doing my treatment and everything to get me through the PTSD and the anxiety and depression, all that good stuff. But I really made ground on all of this when I brought my wife into my therapy. What I mean by that is we go to therapy one-on-one, right? You're talking, you go home. She doesn't know what's going on in there. But I took her to a therapy session one time on the request of my doctor, who said, hey, listen, bring her, let her learn.
Yeah.
And I was so hesitant, right? I was just like, I don't know if that's a good idea. But I did it.
Can I ask what the concern was?
Just, having to tell a story, right? Having to say things that maybe I didn't want her to hear. But in the end, I still didn't say things that I thought she didn't need to hear. But what it did do was the doctor and I are talking. She's sitting here, and she says, stop right there. And she looks at my wife and says, okay, now do you understand why he was acting like this on Thursday when you told him this? So she was like, oh, yeah. Well, it's because he was dealing with this. He was thinking about this trauma, or he was thinking about, or this event had triggered him, or whatever it was. So she started to learn more about the inner workings of PTSD and how it affected me.
Right.
So that was growth that we both needed.
Right.
So what the result of that was she didn't think she was the problem, because I would be mad or angry or whatever, and she would think, well, what did I do? And instead of me saying, it's not you, I would just kind of be angry or get mad or argue or whatever, right? So we grew so much from that. And the other part of that, of the growth, was in our relationship with God. Praying together more. Not by myself.
Right.
I talk to him all the time. But as we started to pray together, it brought us closer, because that's what we were supposed to be doing from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a journey. It seems to me, just from what you're sharing, that maybe you felt the need to be strong in front of her a certain way. It's hard to be fully transparent, even with your wife, who is someone that normally we would think that would be fully transparent with. But these are heavy things that you were carrying. So bringing her into it was super helpful. Yeah, and if you're just joining us with Robert Garza, he's with the Warriors Journey Resilience Center here in El Paso. The website is thewarriorsjourney.org. We're going to continue this conversation, but right now we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
I'm looking at, Andy, I'm looking at the freeway, because I can visit Paisano through that Spaghetti Bowl area and especially that right lane that goes to the Juarez Bridge, Paisano area, through to the spaghetti bowl, then you get up that ramp that goes to Juarez, and boy, you are just single file right there. Also, just typical flowing I-10 East through Copias Spaghetti Bowl area. That's typical right there. Lee Trevino and Kasner here. We have the traffic lights not working here. Lee Trevino and Kasner's caution. Border Highway East at Midway, right lane taken away. But on the I-10 West, Paisano, Chelsea area, it's a jungle out there, that's for sure. Make sure your teenager learns to drive safely and with confidence with Jungle Driving School, located conveniently at the Shops of Solano on El Paso West Side. Jungle Driving School, call 900-4943, and 10% discount for KELP listeners. Jungle Driving School. Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, this afternoon we have with us Robert Garza. He's with the Warrior's Journey. It's a center that's dedicated to supporting military personnel when they get out of the military with the invisible wounds of combat, such as PTSD, feelings of isolation. Quite a conversation we're having. But I know a lot of folks are veterans in our community because they came here, they fell in love with El Paso, and maybe they fell in love with El Paso and decided to stay because of the menudo. Where do you think those veterans were picking up that menudo?
Well, it's that menudo's not every. There's a lot of restaurants that don't have it.
Right.
Very few restaurants have it, and most and some of them that do have it, they just have it on the weekends. But you can pick it up at Eastside Choice Meats, Nomaland, and Traywood, where you can pick it up any day of the week, just any day. It doesn't matter, and they're in containers, cold, and take it home, put it in the fridge at your convenience in the morning. Put that in the microwave. Make sure to buy some oregano. Put that on there, and you're good to go because it's really quite. You'll like it. You'll love it, and it'll fill you up in the morning and get you going and ready to go there, Andy. That's also Eastside Choice Meats, Nomaland, and Traywood.
Thank you, Charlie One. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
And we're back with Robert Garza. We're talking about serving our veterans well, and just how the journey they go through after their time in the military. And Robert, before the break, you were talking about bringing your wife into counseling and how helpful that was. I asked earlier, for any of us, I guess it's a dumb question, how to talk to a veteran. You said talk about baseball as a starting point, talk about life.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the dark places. But when it comes to maybe someone's listening and, it's a wife of a veteran and she sees her husband is going through that isolation, would you have any thoughts for her?
I would. And I would say the same thing. Just talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to tell you our story, and you don't need to hear my dark stories to support me.
Right.
Right. And, my wife would tell me what's going on, right? Tell me the stories. And you don't want to share those stories, right? They're not stories that people need to hear, right? But what began to happen was just conversations, right? Mm. And those conversations bloom into something special, right? And I think that is the advice I would give is when that veteran is sitting there alone or he's sitting there quiet, don't press him because he'll come out in his own time. And I'm going to tell you what it's kind of funny. I'm glad you asked that because in my house, a strange kind of ritual, if you want to call it that, kind of occurred, right? If I was having a bad day and I didn't want to get kind of snarky with my wife or just be rude, right?
Sure.
Because I know I wasn't in a good spot.
Right.
I know this is crazy and we're on our phones too much as it is, but I would send her a text from the other room and say, hey, listen, I'm not having the best day. I don't want to be rude to you. I'm just going to stay over here for right now. Mm. And she would walk by me and kind of just rub my shoulder and continue going or not even come over. Yeah. And I could hear her say something to my kids, hey, just leave that alone right now.
Yeah.
And she knew that when I was ready, I would go to the other side. Right. And that's what would happen. I would go and I would take however much time I needed and I would go to the other side and we would be good. Right. And to this very day, we still do that. I tell her, I might send her a text and be like, hey, I had a horrible day at work. I'm just give me a few minutes and, we'll be good to go.
Yeah. I love that. I guess it sounds so simple, but it's so important because what you're saying is essentially communicate. You know, I'm having a bad day, and I haven't had any of the difficult circumstances you've had in your life.
Sure.
But a similar thing has worked in my marriage. Is,
nice.
You know, like just, you know what? It's not you. It's just this day, and give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
And so that's I think that's super great and helpful. And for your wife just to be able to accept that and not come in, well, tell me what's going on then.
Exactly.
You know, just a hand on the shoulder was all you needed.
Yeah.
And having that communication. So you've been on this journey, and you were talking early on in the program about how you were going down 375 and you saw it's the Purple Heart sign on the side of the highway, and it was completely faded. It took a really long time for the government to do, and I find that to be so interesting because I would assume that's not a big financial investment.
I mean, the excuses I was getting was, "Hey, we've been trying for 3 years and we can't find the budget for it, and this and that." And I'm like, "Well, I'll just keep calling you back and we'll figure it out." I guess.
Because I mean, you know, I don't know how much it costs to put up a sign that's respectful. But given a city of this size and the military presence, I would assume it's a drop in the bucket. And if you were to put out, you know, if the city were to know this is a problem, I would think there would be some kind of crowdfunding, you know, but you're dealing with a lot of red tape. Are there other things you've noticed around town where the city could be more respectful to veterans?
No, not necessarily. You know, in El Paso, I don't know if you know this or not, but we call ourselves the Veterans Capital of the USA.
I didn't.
Yes, and that was proclaimed by the county judge a few years back. And we have an amazing veteran community here in El Paso, and an amazing support community from everyone, not just from veterans organizations, but from anywhere you go, right? They really love their veterans, and they love their Fort Bliss active duty, right?
Right.
There's also a saying here in El Paso that goes to El Paso's Fort Bliss and Fort Bliss is El Paso, just to give you kind of, you know, the relationship that those two have. So, you know, we're very lucky to have such a great community here of who really supports our veterans and active duty every single day. Yeah, so I can't say that I've seen anything where that's disrespectful or anything like that, because I think they go above and beyond in this community.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so El Paso is the veterans capital, right? According to the county judge.
Sure.
I'm looking it up online. It's a high density of approximately 68 veterans per 1,000 residents, which is, when you think about all the different types of people who live in a city, that's a really high number. You were talking about how you're in a part of different veterans organizations. What are some of those organizations?
Well, I'm the commander of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Lone Star Chapter 393. And you probably didn't know, because most people don't know, that this past Friday, August 7th, was National Purple Heart Day.
I did not know that.
Yes, it is a day set aside to recognize the sacrifice of the 1.9 million Purple Heart recipients.
Wow.
I want you to put that number, I'm going to put that number in context for you. You combine El Paso and Juarez, you got about, what, 2.1 million?
Sure.
1.9 million Purple Heart recipients.
Wow.
And that's only an estimated number, because for many years we didn't keep count. We still don't keep count. There's no database where you can go and pull up someone's name and say, yes, they're a Purple Heart recipient. It doesn't exist. So the 1.9 million is we're guessing, because for many years it wasn't kept. There was no record. So that is a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of blood, you know, and I don't think people really understand that. And one of the things, so that Purple Heart sign we talked about earlier, that's actually what's called part of the Purple Heart Trail.
Okay.
And the National Military Order of the Purple Heart, the organization itself created the Purple Heart Trail many years ago, so that when you see one of these Purple Heart memorial signs, or you see a Purple Heart parking spot, or a Purple Heart city, whatever it is, the intent is for you to just take a second and realize that traveling down this beautiful road, or going into this business, or going into this organization that calls themselves a Purple Heart organization, that all of this took sacrifice.
Yeah.
All of this took the blood or the life of a human being.
Right.
Right. And that's the purpose of this trail. And what we did on Saturday was we had our National Purple Heart Day ceremony here locally.
Right.
And we inducted 10 more organizations into the Purple Heart Trail here in El Paso, because El Paso County is a Purple Heart County. The city of El Paso is a Purple Heart city. And last year we made Socorro, San Eli, they're Purple Heart cities, right? Because my intent was, and I came up with this little slogan of, we're going to paint West Texas purple. And we're going to make as many organizations, Purple Heart organizations, that we can to bring that awareness, right, of the sacrifice of these 1.9 million people. So we've been working really hard on that, and we had a great ceremony this past Saturday for the Purple Heart recipients, and great community turnout, and it was really awesome.
No, that's cool. So you could become like a warrior Purple Heart business.
So, for example, this organization here supports veterans, right? And people ask me all the time, what does it take? What do I have to do? Do I have to, donate something or anything? And I say, do you support veterans? Yes, you're in.
Okay.
That's as simple as it is, right? Mm-hmm. Or if I go to a store and they offer a veteran discount, they're in, right?
Okay.
Some examples of Purple Heart organizations would be the VA hospital. The VA hospital, we made it a VA hospital last year. It's the fourth VA healthcare system in the country, right? Again, the county and the city. But we have so many different high schools. We've got so many different veterans organizations that are Purple Heart organizations. And I would say that because of your work with the veterans community and how you're trying to highlight veterans in the community, I would love to come back in the future and proclaim KELP as a Purple Heart radio station, the first one in El Paso, Texas.
I would love that.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes, I would love that. And you would be the first radio station in West Texas to have that honor.
That's amazing. Yeah, because, you're talking about something that's simple, but it sounds powerful, just kind of all of us as a community saying, hey, we support these guys. I mean, that's pretty much what you're saying.
That's it. That's all it takes. You ever been to some organizations and they have a Purple Heart parking spot? You ever seen that?
I have not.
Yeah, so it looks, you've got the disabled spots, right?
Right.
Well, some organizations will put, the ones that we proclaim as Purple Heart organizations, they'll say, hey, we support you guys so much, or we're going to put a Purple Heart parking spot in our place. So many organizations, keep an eye out for it. You'll see it around the city. There's many organizations in the city that have those signs in their parking lot. And as you go, a great place to go, if you ever get a chance to go to San Eli, go to San Eli. In every entrance to San Eli, they have their sign, a Purple Heart City.
Wow.
Yeah. And we encourage those signs. The Purple Heart City sign for El Paso is actually downtown. So it's awesome. We just want to bring recognition to the sacrifice, because it's not only about bringing awareness to the sacrifice of the Purple Heart recipient, but of the families, right? They pay a huge price, right? They never get that person back, or they get someone who's extremely wounded and they have to take care of them, or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
Wow. No, that's super cool. And yeah, it's just us saying, hey, you know what? We notice, we care, because I think that can be part of the issue from what I'm hearing you say, is this isolation and feeling like there's a disconnect. And in a way, it's just us saying, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is quite an amazing conversation. We're with Robert Garza. He's with the Warriors Journey Resilience Center here in El Paso. The website is thewarriorsjourney.org. We do need to go into a break. We'll be right back. Do not touch that dial.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more. "915 Talk" is listener-supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel, Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
This is Pastor Steve Castrita. I'd like to extend the invitation for you to join us in service every Saturday at 5 p.m. at Redeeming Grace Church, El Paso. We are located at 2400 George Dieter inside Iglesia Philadelphia. We're a young church on the east side of El Paso with no smoke, no lasers, and no gimmicks, just the uncompromising Word of God and a call to win the 915 for Jesus Christ. We'd love to meet you and your family. God bless you, and thank you for listening to KELP.
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Robert Garza. He's with the Warriors Journey Resilience Center here in El Paso. During the break, Robert, you mentioned that sometimes in some places around the country, veterans organizations don't always get along, but El Paso is different.
Yeah, no, our veterans organizations are they work together and are so united. It's beautiful to see, because many organizations, if you go to other cities or across the country, it's very territorial. I mean, right. they don't want to, like, stay away from our members, don't talk to my members, and you know, it's like, hey, we're on the same team here, right? But it's not like that. And here in El Paso, we're very lucky that we have an organization called the United American Veterans Organization that unites our DAVs, our American Legions, our VFWs, all under one banner. Mm-hmm. And these organizations meet once a month all together, and they support each other, and they they volunteer for each other's organizations. And it's not, you know, we're just here to support one another, and these organizations are united so well that is why we can call ourselves the Veterans Capital of the USA, because our veterans organizations are so united, and we make sure that no one falls through the gaps.
That's so cool, and a little bit off topic. I think the church in El Paso could learn from that. Yeah. But you're with an organization called the Warriors Journey Resilience Center. What is that?
Yeah, so we are a faith-based nonprofit headquartered out of Springfield, Missouri. We just got here. I started the role in January. We officially opened our Resiliency Center. March 24th was our grand opening. And we have in our Resiliency Center, we have what's called the Warrior Java Cafe.
The Warrior Java Cafe.
Yep, and it is a coffee shop. Okay. And we have the best coffee in El Paso.
You heard it here first, folks. The best coffee in El Paso.
And I challenge you to come test us out.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Do you have to be a veteran?
And try our, we've got food items on the menu and such. So I would encourage everyone to come out and spend time, because every time you come there, you're going to run into a veteran, you're going to run into a first responder, you're going to run into a family member of those, or you might even run into an active duty service member. And just to be around these great heroes is why we created this organization, and we created that coffee shop, because we wanted a space for those groups.
Right.
Right, because you can go to many coffee shops and there's no conversation going on in those things. There's no community there.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that the veterans, their active duty, first responders, and all their families had a place where they can be with like-minded individuals and like-minded families and just be, right? And we really try to make sure that they feel comfortable there, right? And one of our cornerstone program for the Warrior's Journey, we talked about connection earlier, right, is our connector program.
Okay.
As human beings, sometimes we just want to talk to someone.
Right.
Not a therapist. We don't want more pills, right? We just want to talk to another human being.
That's why I started this radio program, so I could get people to talk to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get it. But, you know, for a veteran, we have different lifestyle. We have unique backgrounds.
Sure.
Right? And sometimes we just want to talk to a brother or a sister. And that's something that we can provide. So if a veteran calls in, they go to our website, or if they come into our resiliency center and they're in crisis, the first thing we do is identify the level of crisis. Is it suicidal ideation, or is it my refrigerator don't work? That's a crisis. Your food's going to go bad.
Yeah.
Right? So we try to identify that level. And then we say, okay, what's your military background? So we talked earlier, and you said you're from Ohio.
Yes, sir.
So what's the name of your high school?
Woodridge High School.
Okay. Wherever you're at in the world, if you run into someone from Woodridge High School, you're going to be like, man, that's my person right there.
Yeah.
Right? You
Go
feel
Bulldogs.
Automatic connection, right? Bulldogs.
Right.
That's what we do with your military background, right? So if a veteran comes in and they say, I served in the Air Force and I went to Iraq in 2004, well, then guess what? We go into our database of connectors, and connectors are nothing more than healthy veterans who want to give back and listen to another veteran, right? We'll go to our database, find that veteran, match the backgrounds. Now you guys can have that conversation. Hey, where were you at in 04? 04, I was in Baghdad. Me too, brother. What FOB? Oh, I was at FOB Warhorse. Me too. Yeah. It's just like talking to someone from that same high school, right?
That's super cool. So would I be right to understand that you're always looking for people to join?
Yes, of course. We would always take volunteers, right, who are in that good space mentally, right, who want to give back to their brothers and sisters and say, hey, you know what, I'm here to listen. But here's the trick about what we do. You think that you're just venting and you're telling us all your problems and this and that, right? That's what you think you're doing. But we're really listening, and we're getting those finite details, and we're paying attention. You know what? This guy, he can't pay his rent at the end of the month. Or you know what? His marriage is falling apart. Or he's super depressed.
Yeah.
Then what we do is they come to me and they say, hey, he's got this, this, and this going on. And I say, okay, check it out. I need you to refer him here, here, and here. So the conversation might sound something like, hey, Robert, last week we talked, and, you know, you were talking about that your finances are really, really hurting, man. You know, are you going to be able to pay your rent in the month? No, I'm not. Hey, guess what? We have a great community partner here who has a general assistance fund who can provide you with 1 month's rent to get you caught up. Can we refer you to that organization? Yes, you sure can. Okay, great. So now we're taking what you were telling us, and now we're providing resources and referrals so we can walk side by side with you and get you through those challenges. So I'm telling you, it's a great program, because we just had a veteran who came in and under 4 weeks, his life has completely transformed.
Wow.
Because one, people hear him and he feels supported, and that's what we try to do.
That's amazing. And so if someone was interested in volunteering, is there like some kind of training or?
Yes, there is. So you can go to our website, twj.org.
TWJ.
Yep.
.org.
.org.
Oh, that's way easier than the website I keep on talking about.
That's okay.
TWJ.org.
Yep.
All right, gotcha.
And if you want to become a connector, there's a place up there where it says get involved. You can get involved, and it'll come up, and we have an application process, right? Because we want to make sure that we're getting the right people who are in the right space to be doing this, to talking to our veterans. So you fill out an application. We even ask for 2 references, right? And we want veterans, we want first responders, we want active duty service members, and we want their family members who want to give back to volunteer. Now remember, here's the other thing. If you're any one of those and you need assistance and you want a connector, you go to our website, twj.org. You can come into our building and ask for help, and we're going to provide that service for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's amazing. Again, the website is twj.org. One of the things I love about doing this program, I'll often tell guests before they come on, is I love learning with the audience. So I actually do very little research before the conversation, and so when I'm saying wow, I'm genuinely wowing because I didn't know any of this an hour ago. So this is super cool. twj.org, the Warriors Journey Resilience Center. Folks, if you're a veteran and you want to serve fellow veterans, you can visit that site and find out how to become a connector and serve your fellow veterans. So that's super cool. And then you mentioned the coffee shop. I looked it up. It's on Pebble Hills Boulevard.
Yeah, 12135 Pebble Hills Boulevard. We're inside of the Endeavors Health and Wellness Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so our Resiliency Center is inside of the Endeavors Health and Wellness Center.
Okay.
Yep. And if I could add that we also have so many programs. We have peer support programs that are all faith-based. We have workshops and seminars. And we also have, which just launched today, Bible studies, daily Bible studies. So we have a Bible study on Tuesday and a Bible study on Thursday. We have women's veterans groups. We have women's Bible study, right? So we're here. You know, I really listen to the community and find out what they need, and we're trying to respond with providing those types of groups and those types of workshops or whatever. And we're also a huge hub for inviting additional resources into the community. So, you know, this week I had so many different veterans organizations just there providing information. So we become kind of that hub. So if you walk in to get a cup of coffee, you might see a veterans organization there that provides support that you didn't know you needed or didn't know they have a resource that you could use.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Again, the website is twj.org. I have a feeling some of our listeners will reach out to you. I hope so. Sounds like a worthy cause. We only have a couple minutes left. This hour's flown by, Robert. If you could pray one prayer for veterans in El Paso, what would that prayer be?
I would pray that the Lord open up doors of opportunity, open up doors of healing, and open up doors of connection for our veterans and their families, because that's all that combined is going to save their lives. And I would also ask that he open the door and the path to get closer to him, because when we really truly get healed, when we get healed in our heart, and we get healed with him, and when we believe that we're healed and connected to him, everything will fall into place when it's time.
Right. Amen. And I think you kind of might have already answered this question earlier, but what we often ask in this program is, what would you want the world to know about El Paso? My question today is, what would you like the world to know about the veteran community in El Paso?
I would want the world to know that the veterans community here in El Paso is a united veterans community that is here to support one another, and not only support one another, but we're here to support El Paso. We work very, very hard to make sure our veterans have the resources that they need, but we're also here to support every person in this community, regardless of who you are or your military affiliation. We're going to support our community.
Yeah, it's amazing. Robert, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
This has been an amazing conversation. We've been with Robert Garza. He's with the Warriors Journey. The website is twj.org. As we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk.
You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link.